Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and ladies and gentlemen, we have one heck of a show. But before we get into the introductions, before we get into the topics that's going to keep you here for 2+ hours, and man, we have a lot of really good topics that I was able to find. We got to open up with some sad news and then back end it with some exciting news. Crispy Bomb, the best voice in the business, folks. He is unfortunately going to be leaving Breakfast with Boom, but he will occasionally join us. He's obviously moved over to primetime gaming on Monday evenings. Due to a work schedule situation. So, Crispy, let's get your intro in here, brother. You've had one heck of a ride. We're gonna miss you on here for sure, but of course you're gonna bring that raspy, no voice, best voice in the business to primetime gaming, which you were on last week, and your official first show is this Friday, man. Thanks for always being here and keeping it 100.
Oh man, it's definitely an end of the era. I mean, what is it? It's been like 3 years now.
Yeah,
Boom.
dude, it's been a long run,
You
dude.
know,
Like
and
I think since its inception almost.
yeah, it was not far along after you started that I joined, and kind of same thing with prime time. It was like I kind of been here so much. It's like
Yeah.
it just made sense. So and it makes sense for work, and I appreciate everybody, and I hope you guys all continue to come out and. I look forward to seeing your next announcement and how he handles the big times, as we like to call it, in Breakfast with Boom. But it's been a pleasure, and I'm sure your gentlemen are going to hold it down with some crispy truth.
No doubt about that. But again, folks, yeah, he's Crispy is leaving this show, but he will be reprising his panel membership, if you will, on Primetime Gaming, and he does that officially this Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thanks to Crispy, we have now added John Wolf, who you've heard on my podcast numerous times, especially during some of the big announcements. He's always been a part of that. Well, he is officially joining the Breakfast with Boom panel next Friday morning. And if you don't know who John Wolf is, well, you probably should, because he's done some pretty big interviews with many people, including Crispy Bomb for that matter. And John has a heavy work schedule. He would have popped in today to kind of be here for the announcement, but I know he's listening, and we will see him back here next Monday for his official first episode of Breakfast with Boom. So we're very excited to have John join the panel. But let's get into the rest of the panel so we can get into the topics. Dreadpool, 2 questions. 1, how the hell are you? And more importantly, what did you have for breakfast today?
Good morning, everyone. Yes, today I am doing very well. I am still wide awake. I don't know why, but it's only the 3rd cup of coffee so far, and
only the 3rd.
Only the 3rd, right? We made for the American Easter is what we call it, because my Easter is actually coming up this weekend.
Yep.
So we made spanakopita, which is spinach pie, and
that's really good.
You can make it as a casserole.
Yes.
Yeah, you can make it as a casserole or as these little triangles. So they're like nice little finger foods.
They're nice little bite size. Yes, they're delicious,
yeah.
Dude. Yes, absolutely.
So we made some for the other part of the family.
Nice.
For this last one, but I made extra so I would have some for the rest of the week. So I've been snacking on it, and that was my breakfast.
Excellent. That sounds like a tasty breakfast. Yeah. If you have never had it, you should try it. Open up your palate, because they're good in big pieces, but they're even better, Dread, when they're smaller. For some reason, the smaller aspect gives you the real taste of it.
Yeah, you get more phyllo dough, and it's all spread around, so it's not just a big old chunk of spinach and cheese and then like a layer of phyllo on top. With it, it's just nice and easy, and like I said, it's a snack bite. And if you guys don't like spinach, there's another thing just like it, the same way. It's called tiropita, which is a cheese pie. It's basically the same stuff without the spinach.
Yeah.
So
And if you don't
definitely.
like cheese, well, you know what? Too bad. You can't have anything then. What can I tell you?
Yeah. We just don't make plain phyllo like that. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
that would be
phyllo
kind of
just doesn't
boring.
turn
I
into
gotta
a
be
croissant.
honest with you. That would definitely be boring. But listen, let's continue with the introductions. And obviously, Web Dave, brother, you've been doing some killer interviews. Love what you're doing on your channel. And thanks again for being here. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for having me. Just so looking forward to jump into the topics today. Looks like we're starting to get a good group of people in the
Yeah,
chat.
we're
We
already
got
over 100, which we're
Ent,
only a couple of
Tool
minutes in.
Man. Ooh, it's awesome. There's some great ones in there today, man. This is gonna get good.
Yeah, we do. We're going to open up with some big Sega news. If you're a Dreamcast fan, you're going to love this. And last and no way least, Crispy, Fuzzy Belvedere. Man, how the heck have you been? And what you been up to? I know you've been posting some very, very auspicious PlayStation picks and records that you're breaking while you're playing Gran Turismo.
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Man, great group coming into the chat and great panel here today and some awesome topics. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Gran Turismo. Racing is what I'm all about. Can't wait until Forza Motorsport gets announced, and hopefully that's coming soon. Got a gut feeling it might be in May, but man, let's get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick, to open up the show, Dirt Griggity drops an outstanding and extremely generous $10 super chat. Dirt, what's going on, brother? He says, good morning, fellas. Well, good morning to you, my brother. Hopefully you are doing well. And folks, you're going to be treated to some Lego Star Wars, which I am absolutely addicted to. If you have not purchased this game, it is absolutely 1,000% worth your time. It is so much fun. Each film, because there's all 9 of them in here, are about anywhere between 4 to 6 hours. So you can play, and you can get your fill of 4 hours. Because I did the other day, I played for 5 hours on Wednesday, and it was just absolutely amazing. I highly recommend that if you love Star Wars, the homage that is paid in this new 9 film Lego game is just, it's incredible. They really went out of the way to deliver on comedy and fun and exploration. And I heard that, I haven't played a split screen. I heard the split screen isn't great, and there's no online play, which is a little bit of a miss, to be honest with you, but it's a great single player for sure. But listen, folks, we got to get right into one of the big topics. Listen, I've gone on record saying that my favorite console of all time is the Sega Dreamcast. I am a big Sega stan. I have been a fan of Sega since the Genesis, since Genesis has what Nintendo don't. And I have to say that this story, for me personally, and again, maybe you're not as old as I am, and I am definitely the oldest guy here. This story may not tickle your fancy, so to speak, but everyone on the panel seems to be very excited about it, and I believe everyone in the chat is going to dig it. We have new information that came the way of Bloomberg Japan, where it has been confirmed by Sega themselves that they are in the process and early in development for bringing the fans a huge budgeted Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio, where they are calling these games super games. Now, if you remember, at the end of last year, there was that big Sega story where Microsoft has officially teamed up with Sega to help them deliver these mega games, these super games. And the first 2 out of the gate are Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio. And I'm going first to Dread. Dread, this is exciting news. This is news that should get you extremely pumped if you are a Sega fan. I played Crazy Taxi in the arcade. Then they brought it to Dreamcast. It was a perfect rendition. And we saw Jet Set Radio come to the Xbox 360, which was great. And obviously it was on the Dreamcast. Really, really well done. Still holds up to this day. Dread, is this exciting news for you?
Actually, it is. but there is a disappointment in this. I'm super excited. I have them both on the Xbox. I had them both back in the day on the Dreamcast.
Yep.
So they're iconic. You know what I mean? Other than Sonic, they were during the Dreamcast days, they were synonymous with, as soon as you heard that, you knew you were talking about Dreamcast. There was no question as to what you were talking about. So that part's great, but the part that I heard is they want to make them free to play somehow, and that's the perplexing thing, because how do you make something like that free to play? That Jet Set Radio is it's a single player game. It's not going to make sense on how they do that. So that's why I'm perplexed with that. But let's hope it's just a bad rumor, and if it is true that they, I don't know, wake up and see what's really going on, and stop trying to make this microtransactions, this game will sell, just because it is what it is, and those that don't really know these games will grow to love them. I mean, they even think of it this way. They even endorsed, right? They even endorsed somebody making, what was it, Taxi Crazy or something like that. It was like,
Yeah, there was a game that was like Crazy Taxi.
it was just like it, but the name was different, but it was the
Yeah.
same, and it was a complete ripoff. But they endorsed it, so obviously, it shows that the game did well enough that, hey, we should bring back our Crazy Taxi, do it the right way. So, like I said, if they do the free to play thing, I really hope not, because it'll kill it. It'll kill everything that's a super game, or that any of us would consider a classic like that. Now,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, we understand it's a big business and they want to generate money. And listen, I don't care if there's DLC. It's a free to play thing. It could bring more people to play the game because it's technically free to play. But with that said, there's also a chance that it ruins the series, so to speak.
yeah, you can easily ruin something by doing something that doesn't go with the way a game is set up for. So it just depends on how they proceed with everything. I mean, look at how many great games we've had and their sequels just bombed. So
Yeah, it's true.
that's the thing. So hopefully they do this right and they listen to the fans. I mean, Sonic Mania, they listened there, and then they did something with those guys to allow
Well,
them
they
to
have.
make the game.
It's funny you talk about Sonic, and and we're talking about Sega. Obviously, it was just announced that they remastered Sonic 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's coming out, I think, at the end of May.
But
I think.
Yet again, did you see the way that they're doing it? They're selling you partial games. They're not, and they're selling you the partial game, but then an upgrade with this, and then they're upselling a animated screen of Sonic sitting there. So I'm hesitant. As much as I want to see this, I'm hesitant to see what they do with it if they screw this up. Because of, like I said, it doesn't make sense on what they're doing right now. And I'm hoping this is just one of those things that they're trying out and then realize, yeah, let's not do this. But if you guys take a look at the new Sonic and the plans that they have out for the variations, they're perplexing when you look at them. So I'm excited for the game. I'm not excited for what they end up doing, if they do any of this free to play or any of this weird game pricing. So
Yeah, again, it's going to. There's a potential to do it the right way, and there's a potential to do it the wrong way. I honestly hope that Sonic Origins is what it's called. That's the one you're talking about.
yes,
And fans are pretty angry about it. They did drop the official trailer, and it is obviously you are getting Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as well as Sonic CD in the new remastered. I don't know. See, again, I'm trying to find here because this wasn't a part of the topic. It just so happens that you mentioned Sonic, so I was like, well, you know what? Let me. Right, yeah, it's and this is where it gets a little concerning, folks. Along with the release date, Sega has announced that Sonic Origins will be released on PlayStation 5, 4, Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC starting, and this is where it gets concerning, starting at $40. Pre-orders go live. They went live yesterday. Now there's a pre-order bonus that will net 100 medallions. A mirror mode that's going to be unlocked, a letter box visual if you want to play it that way, and there's a digital deluxe edition for $44.99, and then I don't see any other pricing for that. So I think there's a $40 one and a $45 one. Hopefully they don't try and nickel and dime you that you do get everything, but you're onto something, and it is a part of the conversation because Crazy Taxi is classic. Jet Set Radio is just those two particular games, and they're very, very different. One's a driving game, one is a open world spray paint punk kind of a game that's cell shaded. And they're classic. They are classic IPs. One of the things, and again, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, so don't get crazy, folks. We're not going to dive deep into this. This is one of those things where I wish, as great as Activision is going to be for Microsoft financially, right? They don't really have anything except for like Pitfall Harry that I'd like to see come back in a new way. You know what I'm saying? Or River Raid or something. Bring a River Raid shooter, give that to a team of 10 people and let them make a shooter or something. I would love Microsoft to own Sega. Like that is, I know everyone's listening. He's probably going to give me a call and be crying on the phone. Thank you for saying that publicly, because I think their IP is just, man, it's so big. They have so many unbelievable IP. It's crazy. But Crispy, let's get your opinion on this. Dredd brings up an amazing point that I don't even have in the show notes. This could go horrendously wrong. I don't think it's going to. My glass is always half full. Where do you feel? Because again, the rumor is that it's free to play. That's not confirmed, but it makes sense, kind of, in the era that we're currently in. What are your expectations for a big AAA budgeted Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio?
Well, Dreamcast. I played at a friend's house. Really never. Unfortunately, the Saturn killed it for me. So I've went over this story a million times. You just watch a console die while you're sitting at Blockbuster, and you're like, "Damn, there's no games to play." Look at PlayStation; they got the whole freaking aisle. So it's one of those things that I did play Crazy Taxi. I do believe I played Jet Set Radio. I know I played Crazy Taxi though. That game was fun. Definitely gave me old school arcade vibes, very true to its form even in the console. So it's something that I would look forward to. Free to play, that why I don't
yes,
yeah,
indeed.
I don't, and that's what scares me. How are they going to monetize? That's something that I'm like, I know they have experience technically, but it's like, for this IP, how about just come out with the game first, and then
what I said that in the opening. What happened to just selling you a game, right?
Yeah,
we haven't seen that in a while, and I think if the game is good, it's going to sell, especially if it's on multiple platforms. I mean, I get it's a business, and what could we say? It is a business, but just sell me a game. If you want to add DLC, that's fine. But the free to play thing kind of always, for me, always makes it feel cheap.
I mean, you could do a free to play mode, and I think that would be, more logical. And then, I mean, it doesn't have to be $60, $70. It could be a $40 game.
Yeah.
You could sell a ton of them, and then you could have a free to play mode with, cosmetic options, stuff like that. That would be, something kind of what Halo did, if you really think about it. In a way, the mode is the multiplayer, but you could be more simple and just have 2 different game modes that you can play as free to play. I mean, Rocket League is a prime example of something that it works very well for them. So I'm not saying that it's not possible to, make it make it fun and engaging and also be free to play, because I mean there are plenty of examples of that, and they clearly make their money. They're clearly constantly adding new things to these games. So as long as they flush out how they're going to approach this, I mean, hopefully it works out. At the end of the day, I don't, at the least, you got to just release the game first and talk about something like that down the road, because you know, it's once again another IP that hasn't been touched in you know, forever. So let's get it right first, that type of thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I definitely think you're onto something with that. Web Dave, let's get your opinion on this, brother. You obviously you appreciate the classics, and there's no bigger classics right now than those two particular IPs. They have not seen new renditions in potentially a decade, maybe more.
Right.
What are you expecting from these two releases, and could these releases be the return of the Sega that we all know and love?
God, I hope so. Because I tell you, I loved Crazy Taxi. I don't have a Dreamcast anymore, but I still have my copy of Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast that I hold on to. One of the reasons was the Offspring, the song called All I Want.
Yeah.
Man, I would put that as the choice song and play it all the time. Man, that just got me so pumped up. I played it, like you said, in the arcade. I played it at home. Play it all the time. Fun game. Lots of replay value, and excited to know that they're bringing it back. I hope they also get the music back too. Just saying. But that would be nice. But yeah, man. And then of course, oh my gosh, the Jet Set Radio. Oh my man, that was so much fun to play. I mean, it was so cool. The graphics were amazing. You know, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be big, and I think that they're on the right path. Obviously, we want to see what these super games are supposed to be. So I'm very positive, very excited, and looking forward to this, because I think it is going to be, I think it's going to be good. I really do. And like, there's a lot of fans out there from the Dreamcast days and Sega in general. And I agree with you too, man. I really hope that at some point, Everborn Zaga gets his dream come true, because it's not really just his dream. There's a lot of us that would like that to happen as well. So
yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Fuzzy, let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, one of the two games is a bit of a racer. It's not the kind of racing game that you normally are playing, but it's a racer nonetheless, and it's a big IP. It's a big IP. It's a classic IP. And I would honestly really love to see Sega come back as a dominant force in the industry, not just be like, oh, it's just another Sega game. They have a potential to do something real special here.
Well, I hope this is like the start of them bringing back some of their older IPs and refreshing them and whatnot. But Crazy Taxi, yes, I spent a lot of money at arcades on that game. Like, unfortunately, I, like Crispy, I bowed out of Sega before the Dreamcast. Saturn was like my last couple of pennies or nickels that I rubbed together after buying the 32X and the Sega CD. And then it was like, oh, the Saturn. And then they kind of dropped support shortly after. Yeah, I kind of lost faith in Sega at that point. Arcades, I still gave them plenty of money, but home console at that point, I was kind of like, and I regrettably missed out on a lot of those games, at least from the home standpoint. But playing Crazy Taxi in the arcade was huge. Hearing that they're doing this as one of their super games is unbelievable. And Jet Set Radio, it's kind of like, I think a lot of people were saying how like Sunset Overdrive was kind of like a modern rendition in a way.
Yeah, that's a great point. It absolutely was. Sure.
Yeah. And I love Sunset Overdrive, although I know where it's going to be if they do a part 2, but it's so great that they're working on Jet Set Radio as well. Sega is one of those companies I wish they would be acquired by Microsoft and they would be like, Xbox Japan or something. I know we kind of talked about that before, but yeah, just hearing that they're doing this, it gives me a glimmer of hope of my ultimate dream for them to kind of like do a reimagined Altered Beast, where it's like, third person perspective type of deal where you can change into different creatures. But that's my crazy dream on that. But hopefully that's one of the
I
next
would
ones.
listen. That's a listen. Altered Beast came with the Genesis. If you don't know what that is, a lot of younger folk here. It was an amazing side-scrolling beat 'em up. And still, look, I know that it probably doesn't look as good, but my God, if
For
they
that
could,
time,
if
it
they
was-
could remake that, man, oh man.
Yeah. No, but Sega can do no wrong outside of the console space, and that's just because I spent all my summer job money on them. But yeah, I really hope that these games turn out and kind of revitalize that whole feeling that we got when we saw those in the arcade or on our home consoles for some of us and stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. Hope this just the beginning of them, like I said, bringing back some of their grand old titles, because Outrun and Afterburner are also some of my favorites,
Oh
and then
my
Hang
God,
On and
dude.
Space Harrier. I mean,
Yeah.
please.
They don't even have to make them big open world modern stuff.
Right.
To be honest with you, I would be incredibly happy with just remakes of the originals.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But
I mean, great stuff to open up the show. Before we get into the next topic, I got to thank two people that have become channel members. Thank you so much to Caper Caper Grant 692, as well as Big Bad Mo. Thank you, gentlemen, for becoming channel members of Double Barrel Gaming. It is unbelievably and gratefully appreciated. And again, folks, if you want to support Double Barrel Gaming in other ways outside of super chats, there is an ability to add to join the channel. There are two tiers. It's a $5 and a $10. I don't do any bonus content for channel members because honestly, there just is not enough time in a week. I do 4 live shows. But it does help allow Mrs. Boom and I to do the giveaways. That's how we're able to afford to do at least 4 big ones. And this year we are on tap for at least anywhere between $1,800 and $2,000. The big one is coming for Christmas. That one is usually $500 to $700. We have one coming in July. And then we have one coming in September, and those are going to be anywhere between $300 and $500 shows. So a lot of the times, if you're a channel member and you drop super chats, you get bonus entries into the picker, and that's how people who have donated and our channel members have won. They're like, oh, how do they always win? Because they get bonus. You usually just win for being in the chat, which I try to make it as easy as possible. But you get bonus entries into the picker when you are a channel member or of course dropping a super chat. And again, it's the only way we can afford to do as many giveaways as we do, and we're one of the few channels that does it. I mean, there's amazing hundreds and hundreds of channels that are great. We are definitely one of the few that give back as much as we do, and we love doing it. So thank you again for the continued support. Certainly appreciate that. But let's keep Sega in the conversation, shall we? And move on to topic number 2. And what's interesting here, folks, is we have a very, very auspicious tweet that comes the way of Windows on Twitter. And it's what they tweeted when asked about Persona 5 coming to Xbox that had everyone up in arms in excitement. And listen, Persona 5, not my bag. Dreadpool either. We were talking before the show went live. After the 5th train ride, I washed my hands of it because I bought it for the PlayStation 4. I even bought the collector's edition, if you could believe it. I'm like, I got to try this game. Everyone's talking about Persona 5. Everyone's excited. Let me see what's going on with this game. I've never played one. And, sometimes most of the time I win with the picks. Sometimes you lose. I lost on that one. I sold it privately. I got most of my money back. Persona, not for me. The audience isn't BoomStick, and that's okay. But there is an audience out there. And why it's taken this long to come to Xbox is a conundrum, to be honest with you. Especially, which I'm going to break down the sales figures. PlayStation fans who claim that, they love supporting their devs didn't really support this game as much as you would think. As big as people talk about it. It's kind of like Bloodborne. Persona 5 is right there with Bloodborne. Bloodborne is this classic, held to the highest of highest clouds IP on PlayStation 4, and it didn't sell as much as you think, which is bonkers. That goes the same thing for Persona 5. As a matter of fact, folks, Persona 5 itself. Let me see. I got the numbers in front of me. Just to give everyone an overall feeling of how the series has done since inception. I have it in front of me that the series, not one particular game, but the entire series since inception, has sold at 15 million copies. Now, that might sound a lot, but you're talking generations of consoles that it's been across. The latest Persona 5 Royale, which was an update to Persona 5, only sold 1.8 million copies. And this comes the way of, I think it was the last time it was officially was June 30th of 2021. So it could have sold more. Let's just say for shits and giggles that it's at 2 million. Well, that's actually not really good when you consider there's 120, or let's just say 115,000 PS4s in the wild, right? So just do the math. It's a piece of a percentage that this is sold. So again, is it coming to Xbox? Well, I don't know, but I'm going to read you what comes the way of the Windows Twitter account. And they said this, folks. Hard to believe it's been almost 6 years since Persona 5 was released in the US. How many times have you played through it since then, counting Royale, of course? And I don't know, man. I mean, we've been hearing for a while that this is coming to the platform. And I look, if you ask me, the suspicious Boom says the reason why it's not on an Xbox is Sony has to do something with that. So Sony must have done what Sony does best, and that is keep content away from players outside of their own universe. And that stinks. And it's one of the reasons why I have a nasty distaste for Sony. I understand exclusives for yourself. If Sony makes a game, God of War, it shouldn't be on an Xbox, right? The same way I believe Master Chief shouldn't be on a PlayStation. But when you say third party, that's where I draw the line, or the invisible line. Dredd, I want to go to you first on this, brother. You and I were talking. You and I might be on the same page with Sony having something to do with it. Sounds very Sony-esque, if you will. But what are your thoughts on Persona 5 Royale finally landing on an Xbox? And could it go into Xbox Game Pass day and date, even though it's an old game?
Well, nobody plays old games, right? So
No one
for
does.
it to go to Game Pass,
Terrible.
who cares, right?
Shame on you if you play old games. You should be fired.
Yeah. So
flog this person, please.
And that's the funny thing. I've already said it before. I've tried it. I just can't get into that style of game. But it needs to come to Xbox. Xbox needs more of those style of games.
They absolutely
For those of my friends and other gamers that are into that only have Xbox, that can't afford both. They can't, they have to watch which way they go. So either way, I'm happy for it if it comes over, even if it's not for me, but I'm happy for my friends to get something like that, because it's, yet again, whether it's a preference, whether it's financial, it doesn't matter. As long as they're happy that they can get a game that they like, I'm all about it. Having extra games, variety doesn't mean anything to most people, but you know what? It means something to a lot of other people, because, I don't know, but Boom, hasn't your game style changed since you were a kid? For the most part, there's games that you would never have played.
Yep.
Dave, the same thing with you. We've all played certain games that we would never play when we were younger. So, and that's the thing, is that you can never say, oh, this is never going to be this. This is never going to happen for me. There's sometimes that you just play a silly game that you just get wrapped up in.
Yeah.
And if this is that for somebody else, like us, that aren't into it, and also we fall into it, hey, that's the whole reason of having it there, is the fact that you never know, you could fall into something like this. And it's good. It's good for the variety. We need to have different, differing opinions, differing this and that, to learn, and for games, we need to have different games to play, and for them to do something like that would be cool.
Yeah.
Now, on the
100%.
other side, we know deceptive practices, PlayStation, what they like to do.
Excuse me? How dare you accuse Sony of deceptive practices? This is outrageous.
Well, all right then. I will take back my deceptive practices. How about straight up cock blocking?
I love it. That's even better. That's even better.
They've done that before too. I mean, are we still not waiting for Final Fantasy? Yeah, I think so. They were supposed to be a year later. It's been almost 2 years now.
And that's another game that did not sell very well on a PlayStation. It really didn't.
And sometimes certain games will sell phenomenal on one specific console, but when you're a third party, you might need a little bit of extra money. So for them to not really flinch that they've only released it on one system kind of makes you wonder whether there is a, I don't know, tin wearing hat here or not. Doesn't matter. It's just you have to kind of open your eyes and kind of figure out what's going on. Didn't Phil say he didn't want to block games from other places?
Yep.
So there's games available like different places like PC. There's games on Switch that are Xbox. We're going to have games on PlayStation too, eventually, certain ones. We know it. It's not a big deal. But it doesn't seem like, Sony wanted to do that. I mean, you look at Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
That was forced upon them. I don't think that ever would have happened if it wasn't for them possibly losing the contract.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just wasn't selling enough for a major IP. And
yeah, and that's why we got to remember, it's not about us. It's about our friends who gets a chance, that wants to play something like this, and now they have a chance to play these type of games. And then, yet again, we should be sharing our interests, not locking them behind a fictitious wall or a goalpost that keeps moving.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And real quick, before we bring in Crispy Bomb on the conversation, Young Greedy 109 just reminded us that Game of the Year potentially for that was only available on the PlayStation, Bug Snacks arrives on the Xbox Game Pass service in a couple of days. Listen, folks, don't sleep on Bug Snacks. Game of the Year, I'm telling you.
Same energy, guys. Same
energy, as the kids love to say. Crispy, what are your thoughts on this? Again, this is complete speculation. It's just a tweet from a Microsoft-owned, social media platform in regards to Windows. It's it's kind of poking the bear, so to speak. Do you want to see Persona finally hit an Xbox?
I mean, they need these type of IPs. I just wouldn't hold my breath. I feel like there is some
truth, crispy truth.
There's some foul play when it comes to probably what Sony's got their interests in, and they, how they work. They are very Final Fantasy prime example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is some shady tactics right there. I know a lot of people that are still waiting for that game to come to Xbox. And, it's one of those things. It's like, I wouldn't hold my breath. I know a lot of people that are really, interested in those type of games. Definitely want to be able to play Persona on an Xbox. I don't know, man. I wouldn't get too into it at this point. I would wait for an official announcement to get excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's complete speculation. But look, I mean, if you look at perfect example, now Persona 5 Royale, if I'm not mistaken, and again, I don't like reading from the phone, and I don't like last minute things. Persona 5 Royale, I believe, was released out on the Switch as well as the PlayStation 4 at the same time. So if the stats that I have in front of me from Gamasutra.com is correct, it sold under 2 million copies.
That
between
sounds like
two platforms, though. I mean, that's Why wouldn't you bring it to the Xbox? Because what's interesting, Crispy, and I bring this up all the time. I've said this before. Last year's MLB The Show, folks. I'm not making this up. You can go and look for this. You can look for these stats yourself. This is what's interesting. The Sony players who put their exclusives so high in the sky, right, that they're the champions of these exclusives. Did you know that even though MLB The Show with 21 was in Xbox Game Pass, it sold the same amount of copies, 2 million, as it did on PlayStation 4? What is that telling you? That's telling you there's an audience on the Xbox side that wants these games. Just saying, Crispy.
Yeah, and you look at it this way. I know a lot of people think Game Pass isn't beneficial to the developer. You are completely wrong.
1,000% wrong.
And the biggest reason for that is that people that would never have played Persona will play it. They will try it. And most Xbox games, because you get so many games in Game Pass, if you really like a game, you are more than likely just going to buy it, especially if you have no clue. It's not a Xbox Game Studios game. You know it's always going to be there. Sometimes they take them out when they want to, and you just don't know about it. So you end up just buying it because you like the game so much.
Yeah.
So, if they really want to boost, sales and boost mind share, because that's really what Game Pass does. It allows you to, give people this opportunity to play games that they may not have touched. And also, the streamers, stuff like that. When stuff comes into Game Pass, there are streamers that's literally what they do. You know what I mean? So it just puts eyes on the game. And, then more people, oh, wow, this game's interesting. I want to try it. And they're just watching a streamer. You know what I mean? And they might not even have Game Pass. They might be like, I'm just going to buy it. You know what I mean? So there's so many different realms. That's why Game Pass works, because you could do whatever you want. You could buy the game. You can, buy the DLC for the Game Pass, part of it. You could do all of these different things. It's called options. Are options usually that bad? I don't know. I'd say they're pretty good. So, it's one of those things. They have to make a decision. And I think the right decision would be to release it on every platform, not just Nintendo and PlayStation. So.
Yeah, it's funny. Cavish Herbunks in the chat says something very, very interesting, because I own both of them, and I actually played it, believe it or not. Neo 1 and 2, he wants on Xbox. Yeah, dude, that would be big. Neo 1, I put 60 hours into, and I got to like level 90. Again, it's one of those types of games that I don't play, right? But I played that one. I actually played that like an Onimusha game, more so than a Souls-like game, which is what it is. And I somehow, just like Elden Ring, it just grabbed me. So yeah, that would actually be really cool. I'd love to see Neo 1 and 2 come to Xbox. I'd pay $60 for that. I'd even dare say I'd pay $70 for both games and get that on an Xbox, because I would definitely play them. They are fantastic. But let's bring in Fuzzy on this one. Fuzzy, Persona 5, again, I can't say what kind of audience it's going to have on the Xbox. I can assume that it will move as many copies as it did on the PlayStation. Could it do more? Sure. If it was an Xbox Game Pass, that would be awesome. What are your thoughts on this? Are Xbox gamers finally going to get Persona on an Xbox?
I hope so, but Atlas is just this weird company.
They are very, very strange indeed.
Now, I'm pretty sure Sony has some hands in it, but they also find a way to kind of boggle people when it comes to some of their PC releases. Like, people were asking for Persona 5, and I think they released Persona 5 Strikers, which I think Strikers at least have that as a start on Xbox, because it's like a fighting game. So I think that would probably do a bit better, just to kind of test the waters. And I think we are getting something from Atlas a little bit later this year. I forget the name of the title, but it is kind of like a fighter or versus type game. But as far as like Persona Royale or Persona 5, the previous iteration and so forth, I just don't understand. They even had a survey that they failed at doing twice or three times on Twitter, seeing how many people would be interested as far as, oh, let us know if you want it to come to other platforms. And a lot of people filled the thing out, and then it's like, oh, can't submit, or survey invalid, and they tried to fix it and they still couldn't fix it. So I don't know if it's the people at Atlas are just trying to catch up to current day stuff, or if it's just a matter of they just don't want to do it. I don't know. They really need to look at what I forget the other studio under Sega that does like what do you call them, the Yakuza series, how well that did coming to not just coming to Game Pass,
so good on Xbox. Even Sega was surprised.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where it's something that hasn't been on the platform. Sure, it's a risk, but there's always going to be an appetite for it. Not everybody's going to be able to get, multiple consoles. So in this digital age, if you want to cover your bets, just do it digitally. Have it as a digital release. I know some people are all about physical, and that's great, but if the company itself is opposed to risk and they have to worry about,
there is zero risk in that, my friend. That is a fan-freaking-tastic point.
Yeah, that would be the easiest thing. And whether Microsoft wants to give them a bag for putting it in Game Pass or just put it in the store. I mean, some of these games are a decade old, so if they ask a full 60, I'm pretty sure there are going to be people to snatch it up. But some of these games could probably go for 40, and they would probably, exceed their expectations twofold. But I don't know. Atlas, they have a hard time taking care of their fans. When their fans ask for a certain remake, they do the opposite type of thing. So sometimes I think it's their own wrongdoing, and then sometimes I think Sony is kind of like,
also because they are very, very old school Japanese company, and they do things in a very old fashioned mentality, which is, again, you only hurt your company when you pigeonhole or paint yourself into a corner regarding bringing IPX to system wide. To me, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But would it actually hurt anybody if Xbox actually owns Sega?
Ooh, I don't think it would hurt anybody. I mean, I can totally see. Well, if they take the what do you call them, the Activision approach, where a lot of the stuff may remain on current platforms and things like that, I don't think it's going to hurt anybody. And if they go with the exclusive, I mean, there is a big PC base for a lot of the Sega games that are on PlayStation as well. So I think it would help move the needle possibly to people doing like subscription stuff and either putting it on their PC or doing it in the browser or like TV stick or something like that. But in the grand scheme of things, I think they would probably overall benefit globally financially being under the Microsoft umbrella, even if it's not directly under Xbox, even if it's just kind of like with like Activision being slotted as part of Microsoft gaming. I think it would be fine.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Let's get Web Dave's opinion on this. Web Dave,
yes, sir.
Persona again doesn't really move the needle for me. But it does move the needle for people that have been asking for it. Like Crispy, that Fuzzy mentioned earlier, there was a poll. I actually answered that poll, and I said, yes, you absolutely should bring it to the Xbox. Why not? It's just another platform. And he brings up an amazing point I didn't even consider. There is in the age of digital, right? I think that when you talk about production for physical, you're talking about box art. You're talking about, the DVD. You're talking about shipping, packaging, putting it in the stores. It's sitting there. There's a load of risk that goes in. That's an inherent risk that goes with that. And again, there are people in the chat right now. We have over 300 people. There's some people like, Japanese games, just not for me. Boom, I hear you, but they're for somebody. So if you remove that risk and you make a set number, special edition it. Hey, listen, you can only get, this game if you order it from the Microsoft store. We're making 5,000 copies. and you ask Microsoft to get involved with help with the distribution of it, so it offloads some of the risk. But digitally is the way to go, because you just drop it into the Xbox store, you drop into the Xbox Game Pass, you get a nice big bag of money from Microsoft, and everybody's a wiener. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100%. I think that it's a no-brainer that they don't already do it. They've proven that these kind of games can be successful. There may not be for everybody, but like you said, there's somebody that wants them. You know, my kids both, my daughter and my son both got the battle. I guess no, not battle royale, but it's called Royale model or version.
Persona
for
Royal
last
5
Christmas.
Royale. Yeah,
I got them both that for Christmas, and they were so excited, to have a copy of that. So because they really enjoy playing those, but so what if it's not for everybody? Who cares? Is there people out there that want it? They're gonna make money off of it. They're gonna make a lot of money. And like you said, digital copies for sure. Game Pass, that would be such a big help, especially if it was in Game Pass, worldwide, to where like the Japanese market, which is growing, had that available to them in Game Pass. And with the cloud versions, to be able, which are big and popular in Korea.
Yep.
Those kind of, those numbers would be through the roof. So that it would, there's got to be something that's kind of holding them back. And I know it's not the technology. It's got to be, either their mindset or whatever. But now that that Sega owns them, and that Sega seems to be
little
maybe
hands offy, to be honest with you.
Right. But maybe Sega is seeing especially with like their super games, maybe you guys ought to let's work with them. Let's bring this product to them, because it's a win-win for Sega if that happens, because it's their they own the company, so why wouldn't they want to push that? I hope it's one of those many visits to Japan that Sarah Bond does, that she's in there getting in their ear and kind of and like hey, let's do this and let's do this, and there's got to be some talks behind the scenes. Phil and them, they see the potential in this, especially that particular product. I believe it just when they announced the new Sega streaming thing that's coming in June or July, that one of the games that is leaving the Essentials thing is going to be the Persona 5 is leaving that actual package. So maybe there's a reason for that. Maybe they're pulling it out because it's going somewhere else. We can only hope, Boom. We can only hope.
Yeah, there is a subset of people, gamers, that really want this franchise to finally hit Xbox. And again, I think it's a match made in heaven, because what Microsoft could do. And again, we're going to go right back to the words inherent risk, right? Yep. What is the risk of bringing this? Well, if Microsoft is listening, and we know that they are, we know that they want. They want to listen to the fan base. They want to bring more Japanese-based type of titles to the platform, specifically into Xbox Game Pass. Because what that does, especially in a region like Japan, Game Pass is doing very well there. Cloud gaming is starting to gain ground over there. And we know that that's a game that audience would love to play, even though they played through it. Maybe they can make headway in that region by having those types of games. I'll be honest with you. I've been saying this for a while. Lost Odysseys, a game that we've been all of us, I know, we've been asking for a remake. That game was 4 discs long. I don't know if anyone played what anyone's love for Lost Odyssey was. That game
love it,
phenomenal.
Yes.
And Blue Dragon was just as freaking good. So even though we can play those games, I would appreciate if we could get like HD remasters of those games, or remakes on the level of something like Resident Evil, even Final Fantasy VII. But listen, great half of the show, folks. We're almost an hour in, and we're gonna get to topic 3 right now. And this one is a big one. But before we do that, got to thank JC Calamaro who drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says this: Sony keeps JRPGs off other systems to keep to keep Japan happy with JW. You know what? They do it for that, but they also do it because they just do some real scummy moves. I'm sorry. I don't agree with their tactics, and this is why I'm happy Microsoft is doing what they're doing to plow through keeping Sony as the market leader. You know, the more that they purchase, the more that they put games everywhere, the less likely people are going to ignore Xbox like they did last generation. That's not going to happen this gen. John Wolf, new panel member, announced today. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. Says, "Good morning, panel. Just got out of a meeting and wanted to say hello to the listeners. And I'm looking forward to appearing weekly starting next week." Indeed, my friend. Indeed. We can't wait to have you here. Let me make sure that is okay. So yeah, so we're up to date on all of that. Let's
Boom.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to interrupt here real fast.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
You know, we were just talking about how Xbox listens to gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Paris Lockhart from Xbox. He's the senior program manager of cloud gaming.
Mm-hmm.
He was even talking about in his interviews that Xbox actually has a gaming chair sitting at the table with their meetings, and that is for the gamers. That's how much they think about
Wow,
the gamers,
dude.
that
And
the
see, now
gamer
that's
is there with them.
you know what? Think about that for a hot second, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to elaborate because I didn't even freaking know that. Now, think about this for a second. When you have a family gathering, right? A lot of people, and I did this for my own wedding, right? My pop wasn't around, right? He passed away in 97, right? Lymphoma, and not 45 years old. Very, very sad. And my wife's grandmother, who was the world to her. And if you are from the Hispanic heritage like me, and she is more so my wife, who's Puerto Rican, our abuela is big to the family. And she wasn't there. And so what did we do out of respect for both my dad and for her abuela was we had a chair that no one was allowed to sit in. Tables was set and everything. Right. So to see and hear what Dreadpool is saying, even though it's different levels, one's gaming and one is a little bit more serious, but it does really make you. I think you could look now at Microsoft with a keener eye that their the fans are incredibly important to them, where they're at these meetings, and that's a unbelievable tale. I didn't even know that there's a chair that's empty that's for the gamers. Please elaborate on that.
Yeah, even yesterday on 4GQ TV, Carlo had interviewed him too, and he mentioned it that they literally have a chair for the gamers. You know, and that shows. I don't know about you, but that shows me respect, right? Like
Yeah.
you said with your abuela. You know, we did the same thing for this past Christmas with my mom. You know, we set a chair, we set a picture
Incredibly
to
important.
show respect of, you know, obviously for her not being able to be there. And I think it's the same thing that they're doing in a different way. Obviously, they're thinking of, you know, that each and every one of us is sitting there part of this meeting, that we are listening. We are, you know, so they're actually the way I took it is that they're actually respecting our ears, our
Yeah.
choices, that, you know, that because we know that they listen to these podcasts, they listen to what's being said on Twitter, they listen to what's being said on different TV stations and so forth, you know, not just podcasts, but everywhere. So they have an ear out. People, you know, they take it to heart, you know, and that's why we got the generational refresh and the Xbox One X.
Yeah.
So it wasn't, you know what I mean? So they listen, and to hear that they actually put a chair there, you know, as respect for us, to, you know, as if we were there part of the meeting, you know, keeping us in mind. That
Yeah,
it
that's
says
definitely
something.
saying something. Yeah, absolutely for sure. Don Sicario in the chat says, "Abuela is the glue of the family." Indeed, she is. Anyone that comes from Hispanic heritage, you know, every culture has their grandparents and what it means to them. But Abuela, for at least for me, just speaking for me, was not only an incredible caretaker, because, you know, obviously I had my parents, but I was, every time I had a chance to get over to Abuela's house, I was there. More so for the arroz con pollo, which was chicken and rice in Spanish, which is, no one makes it like her. Sorry.
I'm going to have to argue with that on that one. I'm not going to agree with you on the Abuela side. I'm going to say the Yaya side is
There
the
you
one that
go.
holds
You
the family.
see, everyone has
But that's,
their
you know, and
the
that's
name
the
for the
beauty, right? They're
grandparents.
all
That means
they're different, but they're the same thing in different names.
indeed.
It's the same thing, you know, and that's what it is. It's all about respect and honor.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to topic 3, folks. Keeping Star Wars in the conversation. Obviously, you got some Lego Star Wars on the screen, and that's going to be your gameplay for the day. We got to talk about a new announcement that comes the way of numerous sites are reporting this. I happen to pull this from Windows Central. Now, if the name Amy Hennig doesn't really mean anything to you, well, then you are just keeping your head in the sand. Amy Hennig was one of the she's still alive, and we have a new announcement regarding Star Wars and a Marvel project that she is now heading, which is incredibly exciting. If you don't know where she started and what is in her credit, she has a massive presence in this industry. She is someone that I unbelievably respect. And unfortunately, we saw, at the end of her career with Sony do what Sony does best, and that's F up. And she was given credit. The last credible work that she did for Sony was she was given credit for Uncharted 4, where she had a real big problem with management, and we know that how management on Naughty Dog, not that great, to be honest with you. We've heard a lot of really terrible things, and their leader is just someone that I don't really care for. And I'm not even going to mention names, but you know who I'm talking about. I've seen some of his posts, and they're very, I'm better than you, and I don't like that. I'm going to be honest with you. No one's ever going to look down at me. Sorry. But what is to her credit? Well, she is credited, folks, and this is just some of the stuff, because obviously this is a 2-hour podcast, so I'm limited to what time we can spend on each topic. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, Jack and Daxter, and all 4 Uncharted games. Now she is headed and tasked with bringing Star Wars, a new Star Wars, to the masses. She has incredible directing and writing skills. They are unmatched. But here is what she had to say about this announcement. And there's actually 2 press statements, one from Skydance Entertainment, who she teamed up with, and Amy Hennig. She says this: I've often described how seeing Star Wars in 1977, which I did in the theaters, folks. Yes, I'm that old. Essentially rewired my 12-year-old brain, shaping my creative life and future indefinitely. She also says, I'm elated to be working with Lucasfilm Games again to tell an interactive story in a galaxy that I love. And Skydance Entertainment, who she partnered with on this, had this to say, folks: we couldn't be more thrilled to be working again with Amy. She and the Skydance new media team have the talent and ambition to create a unique Star Wars adventure. And this comes the way of Douglas Riley. He is the vice president of Lucasfilm Games. And he continues, their vision for making inviting cinematic interactive entertainment makes this collaboration very exciting. We're working hard with the team of experienced and talented developers, and we're looking forward to sharing more with Star Wars fans when the time is right. I'm going to go right back to Dreadpool on this. Dreadpool, another Star Wars game. And that, I think, brings the total of Star Wars games in active development in one way or another to about 8. And listen, I'm not going to say that this is maybe a flood of Star Wars games. Maybe they're going to saturate the 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 gaming field. I say the more the merrier, but I am very excited because if you remember a couple of years ago, Amy Hennig was working with EA and she produced what was being called Uncharted in Space. And it was supposed to be a big AAA banger. And what did EA do? Well, EA does what they do. They effed up big time because they canceled the project. And why did they cancel it? Was it because Amy wasn't delivering the product that they wanted? Nope, that wasn't it. It was because it didn't have enough microtransactions, which thank goodness is no longer a problem for EA because now they're pretty much have taken what the maker of Titanfall and put him in charge of everything. But I have to bring this right back to Dread. No, Dread, with Amy ahead of this project, are you expecting what she might have done with EA now to be doing with Skydance Entertainment?
I'm expecting to say, woo! Yes, definitely. Are you kidding me? I can't wait for 1313 to come back. I mean,
that game looks so good, dude.
Right?
That
Boba
game
Fett.
looks so good. It's almost a crime.
Did you see the latest videos that came out a few months ago?
Yeah, I did. That's
Oh
why I'm saying it's
my
gross.
God.
It's gross.
It is. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Of course, EA has to screw this up, right? I don't know what they're thinking. Oh, that's right. They were thinking, let's figure out a way to make more money, but not realizing sometimes you make money in the long term if you invest properly. And they were thinking short term. And this is the problem with a lot of times with EA. They only think short term. They don't think long term enough, you know. Oh,
Yep.
let's just rehash another Madden. That's easy to do, right? You know, Battlefront, Battlefield.
Yeah.
Let's Star Wars. I mean, who's not excited? I mean, we got Star Wars from here, Star Wars from this one, Star Wars over this. It's unlike the movies. We're finally getting some good Star Wars games. You know what I mean? Have it as you see it with when it comes to Star Wars movies. With the last trilogy, some of us just overlook it because that's what we're going to do because it's Star Wars and we don't care. We just love it. And this is going to be the same thing with the games. We don't care. We just love it. I mean, how many times have I said, I don't care. Just give me another Star Wars game. Give me something. Give me, I don't know, Super Star Wars like they did on the Super
Dude,
Nintendo.
I love those
Just
on the
bring
Super
that
NES,
back.
brother. Yes, I
You know what I
love
mean?
those. Those are fantastic.
But we're talking about Amy Hennig here, which she's crafted so many stories. There's so many games that she's been involved with that have great storylines, just great gameplay. You know, obviously her involvement is restrictive to what her involvement is when it comes to the game, but at the same time, that's her hand. Her hand has been part of this. So for her to be involved in this, and now we're going to get back to the Star Wars. So hopefully, maybe she can. Maybe there's no legalities on her to bring that story back and bring it to life, which would be really cool. I don't know how far we go, but come on now, who's not excited? I mean, you could tell I'm excited. I'm like a little kid here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
just
100%.
babbling on. I'm just. This is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting because she's a great storyteller. I mean, look at her work before. Real quick, I was laughing because I was muted. Thank goodness I wasn't laughing to the mic. MVP Gamer Skills says that Amy Henning was forced out by Neil Cockman from Naughty Dog, and actually he means Neil Druckmann. But yes, it's well documented, and thank you for that comment, my friend. And Sparhawk in the chat. What's up, brother? How the hell have you been? He says Legacy of Kain and Uncharted 2 are my favorite games from Amy. Uncharted 2 still my favorite, number one favorite PlayStation 3 game.
I'm on the ball too on this Legacy of Kain. How many times we said we want Legacy of Kain, we want Soul Reaver. Bring those games back. Those are the games that we've been asking for, not these remakes that were just released last year. Oh, I'm sorry, those are called remasters. No, but still, you know what I mean? Bring stuff like that back. These are good games. You know, we're just talking about Sega with Crazy Taxi, you know, and Jet Set Radio. Come on, these are games are far enough in our history of gaming that we bring back, and here she is doing something that, it was a while back, but she's bringing some new stuff too. So people are complaining about old games and rehashing old games. Well, those are the games to rehash. And at the same time, what she's bringing out is a new game, so this is the best of everything that we want in this type of generation that we're living in right now in gaming. We got the best consoles on both sides that there have ever been. We've got games galore. I mean, how many times have we played a game for months on end because that's the only game that we had? We had a choice of like 2 or 3 games.
Yep.
And we had to figure out, and then after that we were stuck with it. Now we have a choice of 3,000 games at any given time, from PC, consoles, even cell phones. So this is awesome. I'm sorry, I'll stop.
No, listen to your fan, brother. Nothing wrong with that to get excited, and there is a lot to get excited here. Crispy, let's get your opinion on this. Amy Hennig, talented game developer. Probably has enough money to retire, but she's not. She's back at it. And what's interesting in this story, besides the Star Wars announcement, she's working on an unannounced Marvel IP. Oh my God. All I can say is that she is an incredible storyteller, but more so, she makes games for single players. Seems to be almost like a foreign thing. Single player games, oh, that sucks. I don't want that. Well, that's what she's going to be bringing. Skydance obviously is partnering with her for the development, and she's working with LucasArts, and I'm assuming with Marvel as well. What are your thoughts on this, dude?
I think they finally realized that single player stories for games that are coming
It's actually
off
a good thing.
movie and comics and all these other things that are essentially what you read as your story, how you interpret it. Like these are all things that like make total sense for this. Like you could even kind of interweave news stories with the games and stuff like that. Interactive entertainment, you saw those words in there. Like it's one of those things, like you go and you have this nostalgia for these IPs, and you go and say, okay, well, how do you build upon that? And I mean, lately we always want to go to multiplayer. I'm a huge multiplayer fan, but there are certain things that just need to be flushed out, and it really comes down to the story. And clearly, I mean, look at her track record. Come on. What I'm saying? Like it's kind of egregious that they just let her go from Naughty Dog. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that's the thing. They all jokes aside, on that particular story, she came out and she spoke about it, and Neil Druckmann really pushed the envelope to get her out. Like he went out of his way to be a D-bag. There's no doubt about it. And I've heard numerous interviews regarding it. It's well documented. If you want to know what happened, all you gotta do is search Amy Hennig and Uncharted 4, and it's all the information's out there. They treated her like complete garbage, which was unbelievably wrong. But again, this is why Neil Druckmann has the problems he has.
Yeah, and
sorry.
And you look at it from my perspective, like, okay, like Dredd's like like got a big old smile on his face, like Star Wars. I'm like, yeah. Star Wars, it's brought me back with Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and like as far as like the newer movies, Rogue One was probably the best one I seen. I don't know, the story became convoluted. I've watched all of them, and I feel like like even though it was just a game, Jedi Fallen Order really brought me back in again. Before Mando came out and everything else, it really gave you this sense of wonder and everything that. Really, that's what Star Wars is. Me personally, I'm more excited to see what she does with a Marvel.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, me too. Listen, I'm excited for the Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. I gladly admit that. But the Marvel stuff, I'm also a Marvel stan.
Well, the Avengers was such a shit show that it's like you have like this full template of just you could do what you want, and that's why I'm excited. Like. Insomniac themselves bringing out a Wolverine game that might get me to buy a PlayStation. I'm not going to lie.
Here's something else that's interesting regarding that. There's a third IP that they got an exclusive for. that they're working on, and
Yep.
that's pretty much out. That's pretty much confirmed. That announcement's coming during E3. So there is a third Marvel IP that's going to be exclusive. They don't know what it is, but it's not Avengers, from what we understand. We know Spider-Man, Wolverine are coming. What would you want? But yeah, Amy Hennig, hand her the keys to the kingdom for a Marvel IP. As some people are saying, please, who was it over here? Let me see if I can find it. Someone said in the chat, "Oh, please let it be a Moon Knight. Moon Knight would be dope."
Dude, that is such a trippy show, bro. Like I just watched.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm digging Moon Knight. Yeah,
it's trippy though. Like you're like, wow, okay, we're like, and this is what you're gonna get. Like they are going all in on the multiverse, which I'm gonna love it. I know I am. I think Doctor Strange is really gonna fill in a lot of blanks, but that's what I'm talking about. They flushing out a story. You know what I'm saying? So you need to have this single player story in gaming to really get some people that, they might not watch movies anymore. They might just play video games all day. You don't know, you know what I mean? And get them, and that could get them into all these movies that they may not have even watched. They may have watched a couple of them, but it could flush out a story, and that's what you need. You need this single player. You need that person to feel like the superhero. That's the way I see it.
I absolutely agree. Real quick, Raiden Blade drops an outstanding and very generous £2 super chat saying KOTOR remake is still coming to Xbox platform. Yeah, that's another weird thing. We don't know if it's an exclusive. Can anyone confirm that? I don't know.
As far as I know, it's not on Xbox. It's because
PlayStation, right?
They said time.
It's only PlayStation.
Yeah, we just don't know what timed it is, and you always wonder with Sony. Well, you worry about Sony because Sony's timed is usually 2 years. I don't know if LucasArts would do that for that. I don't know. Again, I'm assuming we'll get something this June, hopefully, and maybe we'll get to see what it looks like. I think
partially it's because of the BC with Xbox that they're just going first to PlayStation and then kind of going from there. Like PlayStation may have done the same thing with Night Trap, but they paid for that part of it so that way they have it exclusive.
Maybe.
But I can't say 100% sure on that one.
Yeah, I mean, again, only time is going to tell. Maybe we'll get some more information in regards to that. But yeah, Crispy, I hear your point. I mean, maybe Star Wars doesn't, ring the bell for you, but Marvel certainly will, and that's huge. Let's bring Fuzzy into the conversation. Fuzzy, this is a very, very interesting topic for a lot of reasons. One, because I'm a big fan of her work, and I love the fact that she is getting another shot at Star Wars. She had what rumored, again, no one really knows, that it was supposed to be this big, magnificent, pragmatic, Star Wars, adventure, a new one at that. And it was, kiboshed by EA because the story is that it didn't have enough microtransactions. That doesn't surprise me in the friggin' least with EA. Yeah. But now that she doesn't have that over her, we know she's going to tell a good story. Are you excited to see what she brings, not only with the Star Wars aspect, but with the Marvel aspect as well?
Well, I'll start with the Star Wars aspect first, because being a sci-fi fan, although Star Trek more so than Star Wars, but love both. The fact that we're getting so many Star Wars games after, EA kind of fumbled the ball a few times last gen when it came to the Battlefronts until they finally fixed them towards the end after a lot of people stopped playing. It's just great news. You got Ubisoft Massive, you got Quantic Dream, you got Skydance working on something as well.
Yep.
You have the ones doing the KOTOR deal. I mean, there's just so many Star Wars games, and we're going to get like a Fallen Order 2. So
yeah, really
excited on that. But as far as Amy Hennig, it was crappy how she parted ways with Sony, but hey, there's always a silver lining in the cloud type of deal. Just for the fact that now, with her being away from Sony, we're going to have her working on this Star Wars game, and I look at it this way: Skydance seems like this weird rogue company right now that's going to be like this up and coming, megastar soon. Between doing like they're I think part of their TV and movie stuff, they're the ones doing the Top Gun resurgence, or the new movie for Top Gun, and we're getting that in Flight Sim here soon too. Um, and not that I'm seeing any true connections just yet between Microsoft and Skydance, but it would be kind of cool if it winds up being the case down the road. But just having Amy working on this, and then I think rumors are that it might be a Daredevil game, but whatever Marvel game she's
Yes,
working
please.
on, it can't come soon enough. But we're going to be patiently waiting for these games. But it's just awesome having somebody that's been able to bring us Legacy of Kain and the Uncharted series, working on this single player narrative Star Wars experience that I just can't wait for. I mean, it's awesome hearing that she's now found her studio to work with, and she's hopefully carries over some of the big ideas that she had when she was working with EA, if that's able to be carried over. I mean, it technically should be Lucasfilm Games.
More than
property.
likely, Lucasfilm probably owns the IP. It's unlikely that EA would own that IP after the shenanigans that went on with with their multiplayer game. So yeah, who knows? She could very well bring aspects of that game, if not maybe a 1-to-1. Which would be interesting, because again, we've only heard rumors that her game was supposed to be something really special. So again, only time is going to tell. Real quick, Raiden Blade drops an additional £5 super chat and says, I also want to point out that Jack Trenton statement as to how Sony looked at Microsoft, compete and block them no matter what. That's something like that. Great show. Well, thanks, brother. And that doesn't surprise me. Again, it's typical Sony tactics. They can't best Microsoft when it comes to financials, which is why they're buying who they're buying. I think what Sony's doing is great. They're strategically getting little developers, and they're building this incredible legacy of developers for SIE PlayStation, and I think that's great. But again, they don't have the Microsoft money. They're not going out and buying an EA. All right, then I don't think they're even going to go out and buy Square Enix at this point, because I don't think Square Enix needs to be bought. But that's interesting. I was laughing because Noof Newcomb's in the chat. Welcome, Noof. How you doing, brother? He says we need a Mike Tyson on a plane game. Concussion at 30,000 feet. I had to pause. I had to mute the mic because I was busting out laughing. That is funny. And if you know what we're talking about, this is why you treat others how you want to be treated, folks, because someone asked Mike Tyson to take a selfie, and Mike Tyson was nice enough to do so. And that same person who had a D-bag face kept teasing and bothering him and poking and prodding the bear, and the bear got up and ate him. And beat the balls off of him live on camera. So I don't feel bad for the guy. I'm gonna be honest with you, because you saw he was teasing. Who does that? Who teases Mike Tyson? No, thank you.
The best part is he has a before picture
and he has
an after.
He sure does, yeah. And real quick, I want to shout out a good friend of this program, good friend of this community, Joe, the developer of the incredible game of last year. Song of Iron is in the chat. Joe, we got to get you back on this program, brother, and can't wait to see what you're doing. I'm going to be sitting down with Joe in the coming weeks for a one-on-one as soon as he's ready to make an announcement on a new episode of X Vlog Live. I've been talking with him behind the scenes, and if you missed out on Song of Iron, my God, you need to get over there and check that out, especially if you like side-scrolling Castlevania, Metroidvania kind of S, because there are some back and forth that you have to find certain things to get to certain places. Well done game. And you can find it on Xbox. You find it. I know it's coming to other platforms, but I know for a fact that it is on Xbox right now because I beat it 3 times, as a matter of fact. But hey, Joe, great to have you here, brother. And let's continue. What, Dave? Yo. Amy Hennig. I mean, her history in gaming is well documented. Her unfortunate demise at the hands of Neil Druckmann at Naughty Dog. Very, very public. Unfortunately, she saw more trials and tribulations when her game didn't fall in line to EA's, hey, we want to charge everyone for everything. And it kind of looked like she was getting a little disenchanted, and for good reason, with the industry. But it turns out that she is back. And she is not only making a new Star Wars game, but hell, she's making a new Marvel game as well with Skydance Entertainment. Where are your excitement feels on this one?
I am way up there, dude, on this because she's awesome. I mean, she's an amazing programmer and team leader, and to have her working again, especially on these big projects, is it's great. And I think in the long run, she's going to get the last laugh because she puts out such good material, and I think that it's going to be, when those games come out, you're gonna see that she's the real deal, and well worth the praise that she's getting from all of us. Very excited when I heard this. The Bill Murray started going in my head with his rendition of Star Wars from Saturday Night Live. I know I'm old, but yeah. So it was like, to me, it's exciting. All these games, there's so much coming out that's Star Wars, and there's one or two people that have said, oh, isn't it too much? Nope. Because
Nope.
they aren't coming out all the same day.
Right.
So it's
they're also going to be all different types of genres.
Right.
You might have an open world. You might have you might have a side scroller. We don't know, right?
Exactly. And then, like, look at the game you've been playing and you're showing today, Lego Star Wars. I mean, the game is incredibly fun. It's it doesn't matter what age you are. You say, oh, it's a kid game. It's Lego. No, you get in there, you can relive the stories and have fun with them. I mean, look, you got Yoda jumping around right now. That's so cool. So there's such a vast amount of storytelling to be done in the Star Wars universe, and that, like you said, different genres. And I'd say bring it on. The more, the merrier. And I know there's still probably some other things that are in the works in the future that they even haven't announced yet. That as these other games come out, hopefully one of these days they're going to bring an exclusive type Mandalorian game. I think that would be a big hit.
I actually think that's in the works. That's one of the games that, we last year, if you guys remember, there was some gameplay that was floating around that looked freaking really good.
Yep.
So I don't know.
That was a fan made, but hopefully
was that fan made for real?
That was fan made, yeah.
Holy crap!
I'm a fan of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, they literally redid the first episode. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks.
And hopefully that was enough. Yeah, hopefully that was enough to spark an actual game.
I hope so. I really hope so. I think it's a no-brainer, especially with the popularity of the Mandalorian. And then and the way they're tying in, and then of course we got the new Obi-Wan series coming out, and and that's going to go back, and and there's Christian Haydenson is coming out of retirement to do this.
His role as Anakin and
exactly.
Vader. Yeah, I cannot wait for that.
So this kind of so the people didn't like some of the movies as they came out, and I agree that there's some things about them that I wish they'd done different. But you know what? They are what they are. We keep moving forward. We always have the classics, and the more they bring, I think the more we're gonna enjoy it. So bring it on. Bring more Star Wars.
Oh, 100%. Listen, before we move on to the last topic, and this is the headline, this is the header of the show. We're going to be talking some Xbox and Bethesda and what they have coming out. Got to thank Nady Nay in the chat. He drops very generous $5 super chat and says, I want a Marvel Blade with Wesley Snipes mocap. That would be my Xbox Marvel exclusive. I say yes and yes, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, I love Wesley Snipes. I think he's an amazing actor. I'm hoping that he does somehow reprise his role in the Mahershala Ali version of Blade, which is coming. But I listen, all I care about from Marvel right now, personally, folks, is that we are building towards the Midnight Suns. That's all I care about. If you don't know who the Midnight Suns are, well, that is Moon Knight, that is Ghost Rider, that is Blade, that is what else is a part of the Moon Knight? Werewolf by Night, which we're going to see in the Moon Knight series coming up, and there's also a Halloween special that's dedicated. It's kind of like a mini movie going to be for a Werewolf by Night, but and Punisher is also a part of the Midnight Suns. That would be freaking awesome. But look, let's get into the main topic of the show. You folks have been waiting. We got 350 people here. Folks, hit the like button for the love of Jehovah. And also, if you're new and you're just finding the channel, of course, the goal for Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick was to hit 10K. We did that in January, which was great. Did it live on the air, as a matter of fact, on the 6.5-hour epilogue known as the Iron Lords podcast. That was a big one. They had like 50 guests, which is bonkers. But I want to finish off this year with 12K. That would be the big goal, and we're almost there. We're under 1,500 away from 12K. We're just about, I don't know, hitting the halfway mark soon for the year. So I think we could pull it off. So if you're new and you are enjoying the banter, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do 4 live shows a week, folks, and I think you're going to really dig it, to be honest with you. But let's get into the header of the show. Now, folks, look, we know as Xbox fans, for first party, it's been a little light for 2022. And you know what? It's okay, because it looks like the second half of the year is going to be massive. And I know that there are some people that are claiming that Sony has already won the year. And they've had some on paper really great timed exclusives as well as their own exclusives. You know, you had obviously Horizon Forbidden West come out. You had Gran Turismo come out. You also had Sifu, which is an amazing game. Unfortunately, these 3 games were littered with internal problems. You know, Horizon being buggy as H, Gran Turismo being just what they were. The game was a good game, but it was marred in microtransactions. And Sifu, which is a great game from a small developer, was unfortunately pushed to the side by Elden Ring. That's just basically stole the show for everyone. So what am I talking about? What am I eventually getting to? Well, obviously, if you go and you look at the thumbnail for the show, I have 4 Bethesda games. And the title of today's episode is that Bethesda is going to be carrying Xbox Game Studios in 2022. And that is a good thing, folks. Listen, we have a lot of games coming out from Bethesda. Redfall is supposedly launching this summer. Now, we've heard some rumors that it may be delayed until the end of the year, but we don't know. Right, that's a big new IP. Deathloop. I know a lot of people forgot that is actually a game that's coming out for Xbox, and even though it launched last year on the PlayStation 5, Xbox gamers didn't play it. So it will be a new game for a lot of players out there. I bought it on the PlayStation 5. I didn't finish it. It's an amazing game. I'm going to play it and run through it on my Xbox because that's my preferred platform. Obviously, the star of the show, the granddaddy of all RPGs, new IPs for Bethesda. In fact, it's the biggest RPG in 2 decades for them. From Todd, or some people call him God Howard, Starfield. But there is another one that both Boxenberger and I are absolutely convinced is in the works and near done, if not already done, and that is Castle Wolfenstein 3. I think those are what we're getting this year. All 4 games are Bethesda-led, and when you own a publisher as storied as Bethesda, it's okay to allow them to carry you, because we know next year and the following year for Microsoft first party is going to be crazy, especially because all of those games are in Xbox Game Pass. Dredd, I want to start with you. Is there an issue? Because I saw some people making a problem with this. Oh, Xbox doesn't have any of their first-party bangers. Well, Forza Motorsport is coming. We know that for sure. But when you want to talk about carrying the brand, carrying the platform. Bethesda is going to do that in spades. What are your thoughts on these 4 games? And one of them are kind of iffy because it's not a confirmation or not. But is it okay for Bethesda to carry Microsoft and Xbox Game Studios in 2022?
Why not? I mean, seriously, they're an Xbox studio now, technically. Those are Xbox games, and as long as they're getting games out, does it really matter?
No.
You know what I mean? It's like the old BS of, well, we develop our developers by organically growing them.
Organic. I love
Come
it.
on now, seriously. It's just BS. There's no reason for this animosity. Who cares? Just bring the games out, right? We want to play these games. It's just like knowing these games for, I don't know, 5 years, and we're still waiting on the games to come out. With you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't care. As long as the games come out, we still have a steady flow of content. Who cares? We got, game after game coming out. As soon as, and it's how many times have we played games that we haven't even finished and we had to shift over to another game that just came out? And I mean, I'm really bad at it because of, all the extra work that I do, but it's hard to keep up with the Joneses, as they say, because there's no way. I mean, some people can just sit there and play a game, no problem. They can get it done in no time. I don't know if they're playing on easy. I don't know if they're that good where they're playing on a higher difficulty. Whatever it is, they have the time to sit down and play these games, and they can get to the next game. Reviewers, how many times, they're back in the day, reviewers would play to a certain part of the game and then they would stop. Now it's mandatory. It's, ooh, you can't. Well, you know what? You only have to play so much of Madden to know what Madden feels like. You only have to play so much of certain games to know what they feel like. You don't need to know all the twists and turns at the end of the game. Whether it makes it or breaks it for you, that's another story. But these games are still coming out, and that's what we want. We want a steady flow of games to keep us going. So there's so many games that could be made, whether or not they're sitting there doing something with it, they're mulling it over. But you know what? At least we're not waiting on this studio to push it out. That's the whole reason of having so many studios, is so that way when there's a lull because they're still trying to figure out this game on how they want to present this. I mean, Perfect Dark, prime example.
Yep.
Right? They had a disagreement on how the game should go. Are we going to sit there and wait specifically for Perfect Dark and then call that's the only Xbox game that we have right now? No.
Yeah.
This is it's insanity on how these people just want to fling stuff around and do all this.
A lot of their opinions are very narrative focused. Like they're only trying to. They only say the ridiculous things to glorify their opinions on something. That's why that happens.
Again, what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, apparently.
Correct.
So, but that's the thing is, let's get these things going. Joe Dunmore. Anyway, sorry, I had to do that. Mag was channeled through me for whatever reason. So, but yeah, that's the whole thing. We need to get these games to come out, right? And if we're gonna sit here and nitpick, why are we nitpicking over something like this? Oh, this is not Xbox. No, they're part of Xbox. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
It's funny. A couple of people in the chat actually put some commentary in regards to that. Let me see. One from Pixelbit G. Where is it? Right here. Let me see if I can find it. Where this chat is going very, very fast. So, he says, not technically. They are 100% an Xbox studio. Period. Full stop. And Edward Larity also comments on that. He says, is it okay for Xbox first-party studios to carry Xbox in 2022? Yes, it is.
But yeah, see what and that's the thing. That's why. Why does it matter?
Because people just want to talk and have their points be the focal point. It's just ridiculous.
Right. They want to be the king of the hill and tell you how it is and look at me. That's all it is. And that's the worst part is people are listening to these guys. You should be listening to people that want to share the games. This is a fantastic game. You know what? This is a fantastic game, but it's not for me. But people that are into this type of game would like it. That's the type of people we need to listen to and push out. This is the whole thing. Let's see.
You should
Somebody
listen to
put
Boom. That's what you should
Yeah,
listen
there
to.
you go. But like Tunic, right? Tunic, everybody was like, "Oh wow!" And come to find out, Tunic ended up being kind of a Souls-like game. And I'm not
Yeah.
into Souls-like games, but guess what? That thing got me hooked. And that's the thing, is sharing these games out, right? Whether or not it's organic, whether or not it's technically owned or not owned, whatever. The games are coming out on this console. The games are coming out on this other console. Who cares? We have games to play, do we
Yep.
not? Why we go posting everywhere and moving it, and I mean, aren't it's kind of tiring of listening to these people bandstand for their own narrative and
Yep.
keep on moving it because, well, we met that narrative. Oh, well, let's see. Let's change this. You don't have that. And that's the whole BS. Is they're just full of it too.
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, that's why you stay out of these spaces and you use the block and mute button, because that's what I've been doing. Crispy, let's get your opinion on this. Xbox Game Studios, which again, there are a subset of people that feel that Bethesda is its own entity. Yeah, they absolutely are their own entity. They're running themselves. They're a publisher that is being allowed to run themselves, and Phil Spencer has complete faith in the leadership there, that he doesn't have to be looking over their shoulder, because he knows what Pete Hines brings to the table. He knows what Todd Howard brings to the conversation. If it turns out that Microsoft's first party, before Bethesda, only are only able to release Forza Motorsport, is it okay for Bethesda to carry the brand? I think it is.
So you mean to tell me, Boom, that even though Microsoft, Xbox purchased Bethesda, that they're not under the same banners?
That is what the running narrative is, sir.
Okay, that's very interesting. I'm going to go as far as to say that when it comes down to 10 years from now, this purchase will be the greatest purchase Microsoft has ever done.
1000%. Yeah.
I don't believe all of these games are going to come out this year.
Okay. And there's some there have been some rumblings that we may not get Redfall. We've heard that it may come in December. We also been hearing that it will in fact release in the summer. So only time is going to tell.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer at this point that if they just have Starfield, Uncle Phil's fine with that. You have Deathloop. It's going to come. It's going to be right into Game Pass. That clearly, like, people, it's an underrated game, people, because it reviewed well. It got nominated for multiple awards. Like, it's one of those things, like, dude, like, don't act like this game doesn't mean something to come into Game Pass. It definitely will have people that don't have a PlayStation. They were going to try it out. So that's a start. I mean, I'll be honest, we haven't seen a lot, but I would rather them flush out games and bring out games that are not a big mess. Like, even Halo, it feels like it's a little bit of a mess than what it even should have been, and that's with a year delay. So I want them to take as much time as they need. Bethesda is a part of Xbox. You poor souls. You need to accept this and understand that you're not going to play Starfield on your PlayStation. It's okay. All right. You're going to have to buy a Series S, which I've seen it for $265.
Yeah, man.
260. You pay more for a cell phone. For the love of God.
Yeah, you do.
So I just stop. Just stop the nonsense. Okay.
Buy an Xbox ready. Thank you.
I'm not sitting here complaining that I'm not going to be able to play God of War Ragnarok on my Xbox. Okay. I already knew that. They told you Starfield, Xbox exclusive. They told you this. So stop. Just stop. Because when it comes out, I'm going to tell you right now, if Elden Ring wasn't here this year, I could almost guarantee it's going to be Game of the Year. I mean, that's how I feel. The way they talked in that round table, the way they presented this game constantly, giving us little snippets. Todd Howard loves teasing the Bethesda community. He's not even
He
looking
does.
at it.
He's done it for years.
He's not even looking at it as like Xbox community is Bethesda community as well. That's the way he looks at it. Like literally, they have built games on console because Microsoft helped them. You want to talk about organic growth? Okay, they purchased them, but guess what? They've been working together
For years,
since the OG Xbox, dude. At the end of the OG Xbox, they started working, and they said you have PC type stuff in there. We could work this out where we could take our IPs and move them over, and that's exactly what they did. And Microsoft helped them do it. You got to go watch the documentary, okay? So just stop. All right, understand that when Bethesda has all this money sitting there waiting for them, that they're so frugal that they're going to use every single studio they have. They're going to allow them to develop what they want. And because Microsoft is bankrolling this, it is going to be games that are not, and I hate it. Everybody brings up Fallout 76. For the love of God, okay?
The game is a very, very playable game. A lot of people love it. They fixed it. It's a Fallout game.
They fixed it, but even at the beginning, okay, if you look at what they needed a cash grab. And this is why they sold to Xbox. Come on, think about it. The game was
that's
not
why even the Castle Wolfenstein with the daughters was made from an outside studio outside of Machine Games for a cash grab.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, because now they don't have to worry about that anymore. And clearly, I mean, it doesn't work for every studio. Undead Labs, Microsoft need to be more hands-on. You do not have to be hands-on with Pete Hines and God Howard. Let me correct you, Boom. God Howard. Sitting there. If you bring up Fallout 76, you are not understanding that that's not a traditional game that they would make. That is more multiplayer. That is basically the story was not there. You had to find it, but it was just, they didn't bring the NPCs. It wasn't a traditional Bethesda game. Like if you want to say Fallout Online, that's a different story, but they tried to act like it was a new Fallout when really it was just using the same engine. And they basically, tried to make it multiplayer, but really all we were looking for is be able to play with another person, online and go through the story. I mean, I think they took, what people were saying, hey, I would like to play multiplayer in Fallout. And they were just like, oh, okay, yeah, everybody can join. And it was a hot mess at the beginning. And they corrected it. They really did. And I see a lot of Fallout fans are absolutely enjoying the hell out of it. They brought NPCs in. They did exactly what people wanted, but they screwed up the launch. They're not going to do this with Starfield. Starfield is going to be a traditional Bethesda game. And it's going to be something that they have worked on. They have, the thoughts 20 years ago. You're just seeing them actually have the technology to be able to do this. And you could even put out an example as a space epic game. No Man's Sky continues to bring out content. So imagine having this giant game that will be Starfield and how much content they could bring out as necessary or as they see fit. So I'm just sorry, like if it's Deathloop and Starfield, I don't think I'm gonna have a problem with it because I feel like there's gonna be something that's gonna drop into Game Pass that's gonna be totally unexpected, and it's gonna be within the summer. But Microsoft plays this different game. They don't go, in the first quarter or the end of the year, fiscal year. They go, right in the holidays. And that's what they've been doing for a while, and it seems to be working. And not just that, but I don't see the sales, dipping, even with not really much coming out right now. So, I mean, the value proposition of Game Pass has become so, to the forefront of people's minds that even with Gran Turismo 7 and Forbidden West coming out, they still are buying Xboxes up like there is no tomorrow. And yes, you could say there's more there, whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. Clearly Xbox has prepared for this. And I feel like just having Starfield alone will sell enough Xboxes for them to be happy about it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And again, it's what you're going to, the reason, the importance of Starfield for Xbox cannot be understated for a multitude of reasons. That game itself is going to bring in new players that left Xbox for PlayStation. Not everyone is a casual gamer. There are people that went to PlayStation for a lot of reasons: power, price, games, take your pick. But I think a lot of those gamers are going to come back because they don't have because PlayStation will not have Starfield. They will never have Starfield unless you get Xbox Game Pass on PlayStation, which is not happening, and that's a story for another a podcast. But you're definitely onto something. Let's bring in Fuzzy. Fuzzy, this is a big deal. And it's a big deal because a lot of the Xbox first-party games coming from Obsidian, coming from Ninja Theory, coming from a lot of their internal studios outside of Bethesda, well, they are now they've been given the most one of the most valuable things in gaming, and that's time to master your game's craft, to bring it out where there's no bugs and it looks great. And because they have so many in development, we know that they have over 34 games, and I think it's closer to 50, but I'm going to stay with the 34 games in active development. And if this year turns out to be a Bethesda-led year, that's perfectly okay. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's definitely fine. I mean, considering they're part of Xbox now, Bethesda carrying, it's going to happen. And then there's going to be a year or something down the road where Obsidian carries, or Playground Games carries, or whatever the case is, because it's part of Xbox. It doesn't being it a recent purchase, it's still part of Xbox. So them releasing the games on the platform is all that matters. But this year in general, for anybody that didn't play Deathloop on PlayStation, it is going to be, if you're into shooting or like a first person shooter game that's not necessarily like your competitive type, but like the way Dishonored was and things along those lines, you're going to love Deathloop. And I greatly enjoyed it. Didn't finish it. I have all but the last part completed on my PlayStation. I don't feel like getting the platinum there. I want to get the 1,000 on my Xbox, but Deathloop coming this year is definitely going to be worth the wait. Fingers still crossed for Motorsport. I know they're phasing out Forza Hub in May, so no more rewards points for all the Forza games you've played in the past. So that kind of tells me they're doing their next flight for Forza or for Motorsport 8 or the next Motorsport. So that should be in the works here soon. Not no NDA stuff or anything like that. It's just you can kind of read between the lines when they're phasing out a previous Forza game entity thing, that the next one's in coming a lot sooner. But as far as with Redfall, if it gets delayed, I'm fine with that, just for the fact that it'll give them more time to polish it. If it's able to be released, and it being the looter shooter and me being a looter shooter fan, I mean, Division 1 and actually Division 1, I played that game only for 1 year straight. I definitely look forward to that. As far as Starfield, it's already, like, a lot of people were kind of under the impression it may have been able to launch last year, but to give it that extra year of polish, the extra year of...
I call it the Halo Infinite effect, my friend.
Yeah.
Look what happened with Halo Infinite. Listen,
Yes.
you can say whatever you want about the game not having biomes outside of what we saw, but what 343 did, and I know we criticized them a lot because they, the battle pass needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm one of those people that wish there was more, especially in the big team battle thing. But you cannot deny that 1 year, and it really was more than a year. So that's the thing that people seem to forget. When they showed off the game originally, that everyone had a big problem with, I thought the game looked fantastic. That was July 23rd in 2020. So from July to July, that's 12 months. From July to December, when it launches, I'm no mathematician, 15 to 16 months of extra development time.
Yeah.
The reason why the game was as good as it was, and it played, and you could say whatever you want about not having enough maps. Halo Infinite on multiplayer is fun AF to play. The gunplay is fantastic, and the single player, do we want to see more story elements to it? Sure, but that story was dope. And if you didn't play it, then you missed out on a big one. But I just bringing this back around.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit long-winded, my wife tells me, and she's right. The year delay or the over-year delay that Starfield got is going to produce one of the best-looking games on Xbox. I'm guaranteeing that.
Oh yeah, and the fact that this has been God Howard's baby, like in the back of his mind for the past 20 years, like when you have to wait for technology stuff to catch up or game engines to be, of the level that you're envisioning this epic story, I just gotta believe, considering how much Fallout as a series has moved people, just how like Elder Scrolls have moved people as a series. I gotta believe that this one is going to be like the trifecta basically of
Yeah.
his career, and whether
And he's
Bethesda
still working
carries
on
Xbox.
Indiana Jones, one of his other favorite
Oh, yeah.
franchises of all time.
He not that I hope he stays for another 20 years along with the Bethesda group under Xbox.
I think they all are. I think that they're all in a really good position where coming
Mhm.
to work is fun.
Yeah.
And even though they're getting up there, Phil's getting up there, Pete Hines
Mhm.
is up there in age. Same thing with they've all been in the industry for over 25 years.
Yeah.
I don't see any of them leaving because they're quite frankly having too much fun what they're doing.
Well, if they do decide they're going out with a bang, they're definitely giving us a great send off type of deal. But yeah, I think the reception that we're on that they'll probably receive from the Starfield release, I think that's probably going to keep them in there for probably 10 more years than what he originally has planned type of thing. But man, yes, it's fine. Xbox can be carried by Bethesda. It's part of their studio family. Yes, there's no problem with that at all. But fingers crossed, motorsport, because I love racing. But
no kidding. You love racing. Real quick before we bring Dave in on the final point of today's incredible 4-topic show, which was amazing. Let me thank Blinken. I believe that's how you say it. He drops a very outstanding and extremely generous $20 super chat and says, Game Pass is going to be insane this holiday. Warhammer, Darktide, Deathloop, Plague's Tale, Requiem, Forza Motorsport, Redfall, Starfield. Don't forget Scorn. Someone mentioned Scorn is going to be in there as well. Yeah, it's going to be worth its weight in gold. If you're not a part of Game Pass, man, you are missing out. And don't do that. $15 a month gets you so many games that your backlog. My backlog is already as tall as I am. I'm 6 feet, and it doubles. It's double in size since Game Pass. Plus, the world kind of sucks right now financially for a lot of people, and it is the best. If you want to be a part of the conversation, there's no better place to play games than on Xbox for a multitude of reasons, and financial affordability is one of those major reasons. But Dave, let's get your final opinion on this. Bethesda carrying Xbox. How dare they, even though they're first party and they're owned, and the running narrative for several knuckleheads on the interwebs think that Microsoft should be ashamed of themselves because their first party games are not being churned out this year when they kind of own Bethesda, so it is first party. But are you okay with a Bethesda-led 2022?
Yes. That's the easy answer. I am definitely okay with it because A, they are first party, and B, all 4 of the games are going to be dumping into Game Pass day one. And who doesn't have Game Pass? Come on. It's you got to get Game Pass. It's no brainer. I mean, it's what a lineup. I mean, just those. I mean, yes, there's so much more coming. And will we have more surprises from Microsoft between now and the end of the year? We'll find out this summer's, when they do the game shows, when they find out the news and reveals and stuff. But I think we're in a good path. I definitely agree. And I know Boxenberger would be so proud of you, the way you pronounced
I still don't
Wolfenstein.
got it right. I'm going to be honest with you.
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein. I cannot get it. It's my stupid American accent. Sorry.
What you need to do is you need to watch Young Frankenstein a couple times, and then
I
you'll get
love
the Stein down.
Young Frankenstein. That is wow. That is so classic. It wouldn't translate well these days, but it's so good. Gene Wilder at his absolute
best.
Yeah.
Exactly. And he wrote that. That's what's crazy about it. So yeah, that's I tell you, it's a really I agree with you guys that it's possibly coming. I hope it is. Like I said, there's so much good stuff coming. I mean, and Game Pass is definitely sign up for Game Pass. If you haven't done it, do yourself a favor, sign up. You can get in, and Game Pass Ultimate is worth the money. I mean, it is
the family
so
plan
worth
is coming this fall. So
what was that?
The family plan is coming this fall.
Oh yeah, exactly. The family plan coming. There's, I mean, and I really agree with something you've brought up several times on your show as a speculation type thing. But I think that there's going to be a Game Pass mobile version, or at least some kind of, for mobile games, to where they'll have like a big mass amount of mobile games on there. I think that's something that Microsoft
I tell you one thing, a mobile for Xbox Game Pass for mobile is coming. I've been banging that drum. $5. It's going to be $4.99 a month, and it's going to get you all these extra little goodies for anyone that plays mobile games. I am freaking telling you, Microsoft marketing, I'm here. I'm here. All you gotta do is check the LinkedIn. It's current. But
the Boom is ready to bring the goodness. I tell you, because it's I really do. I think it's coming, man. And I agree with you 100%. So yeah. But these games coming, all four of them, yes, I think they're coming, and I think they're gonna make it for the holiday, and I think it's gonna be an amazing holiday season with the games coming out from who? Oh, Xbox Studios.
Right. I also think that's a good shot. I know Dreadpool wants to add a point.
Yep.
I do have a feeling that we're going to be in. I think there's still a few surprises. I'm still holding hope that Compulsion Games is closer to being done. I think that there's a very good chance that Microsoft could win Publisher of the Year again, because all four of the games that are going to come out plus Motorsport are all going to be high 90 reviewed meta games. Again, in my opinion, but Gamer by Choice, who's been a member, for 31 months of the channel. Wow, dude, thank you so much for that. He says, didn't Insomniac help carry Sony later part of the last gen, beginning of this gen? Yeah, indeed, they certainly have. They were the workhorse for Sony, and they weren't at one point first party, and now that they are. So that's a great point. And Suicide Kings has become a channel member. Wow,
welcome,
brother, thank you so much for that. Certainly appreciate it. But Dreadpool, before we do the outros and get everyone out of here to enjoy your Friday and start your weekend, what did you want to interject about?
Well, let's not forget that ZeniMax has how many studios? 8. And how many teams? So you
they might even have double. They might have 16 teams for all I know. They have a lot of teams.
They have double and triple teams on certain studios. So you do not think that there's going to be, I don't know, a plethora of games coming out from them? Dude, so whether or not they're carrying it, yet again, doesn't matter. It's still Xbox.
It absolutely is. But listen, folks, that is your Breakfast with Boom for this week. We had over 350 people here. Many new channel members today. Lots of super chat. Thank you, folks, for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. And again, those we roll back into the community with all the big giveaways. Most of the time, we're taking it out of our own pockets. And that's fine, because, obviously we want to give back as much as we can to the community. It's certainly at the forefront of what this channel was built on, is making it a community friendly and welcoming channel, as well as giving back as much as we can. And thanks to you folks that have become channel members. Thank you for, of course, the super chats. And we have one come in from Black Sausage, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says it's pronounced Igor. Is Igor? Are we talking about Killer Instinct, Igor? I don't know.
We're talking about the Young Frankenstein.
Oh, oh my God!
It's pronounced Igor.
Yeah, Igor. Yeah, man, you can tell he's as old as we are, because only we appreciate the
God,
humor
we're old.
in
I love it.
Young Frankenstein. But listen, let's get everyone out of here. We'll start first with Breaking Bread with Dread, brother. Dreadpool, tell us about that incredible program, where they could check it out, where it's available on the RSS feeds, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Yes. Well, here's the beauty of it. I have a Breaking Bread that I'm working on currently. It was just a little mini thing that just happened. I happened to be somewhere and I said, "Hey, do you want to record this?" And they said, "Yeah." So we did a little thing, and then we ended up having some food afterwards. So,
Nice.
we didn't, Alex, you'll see it when you get there. But yeah, I'm working on it. I'm hoping to get it released this weekend, and maybe support these people that I interview and do this stuff with. Even then, if you don't, not a big deal. But that's the whole thing. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it as a surprise. It'll be a short and sweet one. But anyway, you can find me everywhere on anchor.fm/Dreadpool. It's got all the links to everything that Breaking Bread with Dread is on. YouTube, here on Twitter, what is it, TikTok and all that stuff. So anything Dreadpool is everywhere on the linktree/Dreadpool.com. All my merch, all the stuff that I'm doing. And then on top of that, we have our Gaming Beyond the Box. We are not doing one this Wednesday.
Yeah, he's recovering from pneumonia. A lot of people didn't know that.
Wilmie's still recovering.
Yeah.
So instead of pushing him like we haven't been pushing him. He's been pushing himself. So instead of doing that, we're going to take another week break. We took last week off as a break, and we will take next week off as a break, and then we will return. And we have a new panel member, Centurion, as we all know. He will be our new panel
He's
member.
making his return. That's excellent.
So Wednesday nights, not this Wednesday, but the following one, check us out, 8 p.m., Gaming Beyond the Box. And then obviously right here every Friday, where I tell you what I'm eating before breakfast. And sometimes it's not even breakfast for you, but it's my lunch or my dinner. And, we go over stuff like that. So definitely check out all the different opinions here. I'm going to say one thing, Crispy. I know you're not going nowhere, but we're going to miss you here on Breakfast with Boom.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
It's not going to be the same, but we will. I think
we will carry on in his honor for sure.
I was going to say, I think we found somebody to one up you. No, I'm kidding. No one can do that.
Actually, believe it or not,
I can hope.
Yeah, well, big shout out to Chris, because he's actually the one that recommended John Wolf to me in the DM. He's like, yeah, you should consider seeing if he can get on here. And sure enough, John is going to be joining us starting next week. But Crispy, listen, bro, you've been with us for many, many years. We're still gonna have your incredible opinion on here every now and again. But of course, if you want to hear the Crispy truth bombs that he's normally dropping, all you have to do is head over to Primetime Gaming live, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, each and every Monday. He's going to be hanging out with the PTG crew starting this Monday officially. Crispy Bomb, where else could people find you? And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Like I said, Boom, bittersweet. It has been a ride. Watching, people have the same things. Life happens, and now I'm the one riding off into the sunset, so to speak. It has been awesome talking games with you gentlemen. I will be here when I can, but like the reason why this is happening is I don't know how often that will be, and It's only the right thing to do. If you want to hear the crispy truth, yes, Primetime Gaming, Monday, 7 p.m. And you got to think about this. You got me and Mag on the same panel.
That's going to be devastating.
That is going to be interesting. Then you got Everborn with his backhanded comments. Oh, it's going to be, and then you and Dutch are going to try to reel everybody in. But...
And don't forget the anchor known as Kay Asante.
Yes.
Well, Kay Asante, Commander Keys. Also,
voice
we have some star power on that.
Yeah.
On that.
So you're gonna have three people trying to reel the other three people back into the actual conversation, but that's what you enjoy. And we got Retro Renegade 7 p.m. Tuesday nights, the next podcast Thursday 8 p.m. And I just want to say, if you love gaming, be here. I mean, this is what we talk about. We're not sitting here trashing consoles. We are giving our wholehearted opinions. We have been gaming for a very long time. If you're newer to gaming, if you only got 5 to 8 to 10 years under your belt, you don't know about the 20 plus years that us gentlemen have. And congratulations to John Wolf. Well deserved. And I'm sure he's going to have some hot takes and some very knowledgeable opinions. So I look forward to listening, on my Saturdays off and listening to you guys. So appreciate it. Much love.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. And Fuzzy, obviously, please, I want you to sell your brand. Tell them about your incredible YouTube channel as well as other shows that you're on. But more importantly, where could people reach out to you on social media?
Well, first I want to thank Crispy and man, it like Dreadpool was saying, it's not going to be the same, but man, I know you're still going to be in the DMs and can't wait to see on prime time as well. Love hearing your thoughts and keeping everything 100. So man, I definitely look forward to your views on Monday nights and stuff. Thank you for the panel. Thank you, Boom, for having me on here. Thank you to everyone that came out and watched us live, and some of those that'll catch us on the replay. Everyone interacting in the chat, just greatly appreciate you guys checking us out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. For anybody that just wants to hear my ramblings on anything racing related, first-person shooters, or any of the games I've been playing over the past few years, you can find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere or on YouTube, Fuzzy_Belvedere. Pretty much mainly doing replays, some points and tips on some of the racing. But man, I just greatly appreciate, everything about you guys and gaming in general. So, just have fun out there. Have a great weekend, guys.
And thank you for always being here, brother. And you've been a huge asset to join the panel. We'd love to have you each and every Friday morning. And last and no way least, Web Dave, by all means, brother, sell your brand. Tell them about who you've interviewed, who you got dropping, and where could people reach out to you and check out not only your website, but you find you on social media.
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is to go to my webpage, which is outbreakpodcast.com. Simple as that. You can also, obviously, a YouTube channel is Outbreak Podcast. I have a series on Outbreak Gamers, which Fuzzy Belvedere, Crispy Bomb, Dreadpool, and the one and only Mr. BoomStick XL all have interviews that I have captured, and they are amazing. Every single one of them, you get a lot of insight into these amazing gentlemen and their content. So it is a privilege to have every single one of you guys on there. And this week's coming up, this week's episode that dropped was Dreadpool, and of course he had to unload 2 hours, and every single bit of it is entertaining. I'll tell you that right now. You find out some things I had no idea. We'll just keep it a mystery until you listen. But
yes, absolutely. Tune in.
I was trying to keep it short.
Right. It was never boring, that's for sure. So definitely tune in and check that out. This week's episode dropping on Monday. I have been blessed to have the one and only Randall Thor 19. We have a fantastic hour-long interview with him, and you'll get to find out a lot about Randall Thor, the man with the million. And he was nice enough to do an interview with me. And gosh, Boom, I tell you, so many great things that you're doing here. We all appreciate you. Just want you to know that right now.
Thank you, brother. Definitely appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you, man. But listen, folks, that's your show. Obviously, before you get on out of here, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new, consider subscribing to the channel. 4 live shows weekly, and lots of content. 16 shows per month for almost well over 40 hours per month of content. And you don't got to drop a dime. But if you do, we definitely appreciate all the super chats and the channel memberships that keep this channel moving forward in regards to giving things away, giving back to the community. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show with something, folks, that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.